Imagine this scene. It is 1944, deep in the Pacific, on a moonless night near the Mariana Islands. The sea is thick as ink. A U.S. fleet submarine, the Redfish, has just executed a daring periscope attack. A torpedo's wake cuts through the black and slams into a tanker in the Japanese Convoy. Fire flashes on the surface for a few seconds, and in that brief glare, the submarine's position is exposed. Retaliation comes hard and fast. A Japanese escort destroyer charges in at high speed. The Redfish dives. The pressure hull groans as the boat slips into deeper water. 300 feet, 400, 500. Captain James W. Logan's orders are clipped and clear. Hold quiet, all hands. Hold quiet. The destroyer's sonar pulses begin at once, a cold ping-whoom probing again and again. Through the steel, the sound turns into a teeth-grinding vibration. Then comes the worst sound. Plop, plop, depth charges entering the sea like stones dropped into a well. Then the wait. Absolute. Torturing waiting. You can hear your own heartbeat. You can hear the man beside you forcing his breath to stay quiet. Somewhere in the boat, a wrench or a loose fitting ticks once against metal, and every head snaps toward the sound. Then the boat is seized. The first charge detonates off starboard, not a sharp crack, but a heavy concussion that slams the hull and throws men against consoles. The lights die. Emergency lamps flare red. Pipes shriek. Tools and loose parts clatter across the deck. Someone goes down with a muffled grunt, and another man catches him before he can hit again. The second is closer, port side. The shockwave hammers the hull with a bell-like roar. Sparks burst from control panels. The air fills with burned insulation and dust. Alarms scream, and the sound seems to hang in the hot air, nowhere to escape inside a sealed steel tube. "Damage control reports! All compartments report!" Logan's voice rides over the chaos. Replies come back tense but not broken. Engine room secure, steering gear normal, torpedo room ready, then sonar. "Captain, active sonar is dead. The JK array has no return. Displays are black, the receiver's out." For a beat, only the alarm seems to exist. Active sonar is the boat's eyes at depth. Down here, where no periscope can risk the surface, it is how you sense threats, space, and the shape of danger. Now those eyes are blind, and the sea around them might as well be solid. Above them, propellers rush back and forth. Another pair of charges splashes in. Logan does not hesitate. Into the voice tube, his tone is flat and cold. "Shut down everything non-essential. Stop the main motor, circulation to minimum. From this moment on, we do not see with our eyes. We listen with our ears. Sonar shift to passive hydrophones, maximum gain. I want every sound and where it is." The hum of the main motor disappears. Ventilation nearly stops. Heat rises fast. Every man-made noise is cut or throttled down. The Redfish becomes a silent steel tube, sliding towards 600 feet, trying to tuck beneath the thermocline where sound can bend and scatter. The cost is total darkness and enforced stillness. Under red emergency lights, men sit frozen at their stations. Sweat runs down backs and foreheads, soaking work shirts. The air thickens. Breathing becomes something you can hear, and the urge to swallow feels too loud. The hull gives off slow, unhappy creaks under pressure, sounds no one used to notice, now impossible to ignore. In the sonar room, Carl Miller clamps his headset tight. With the submarine quiet, the ocean pours into his ears. Passive hydrophones do not broadcast. They only listen. Before, with engines and active sonar in the mix, the headset held mostly a wash of background noise. Now the sea is a layered orchestra, and each layer might be a warning. First comes the low, continuous rumble of the convoy, dozens of heavy machines laying down a broad noise floor. Over it rides something sharper and fast, the hard rushing of escort propellers slicing water. One to port, perhaps two to starboard. Carl closes his eyes and sorts the sounds by trained instinct. Blade count, shaft speed, tiny vibrations that make each ship distinct. He speaks into the voice tube in a whisper so low it is barely breath. "Captain, multiple contacts on passive, main machinery noise bearing northeast, opening slowly. That's the convoy's body." Logan, bent over the chart table, picks up a pencil. "Escort units," Carl continues. "Port side bearing about 275. High frequency rushing, high RPM. Could be a newer destroyer, an Akizuki class or Matsu class type. Starboard I have two, one similar to port, the other is lower RPM, deeper, rougher. Twin screws, about 120 RPM. I've heard it on records. Resembles an older Yubari-class light cruiser or a converted coastal defense ship. Logan marks bearings. No range, only direction. But direction is enough to start a map, and a map is enough to start making decisions. Keep listening, he says. I want their pattern. Tight escort or active search? Minutes stretch. The destroyer's pings continue, but they begin to feel less certain, as if the hunter is sweeping wide and hoping to stumble across a shadow. The depth charge drops. Pause. Perhaps the thermocline is distorting contact. Perhaps the escorts believe the submarine has been damaged and driven off. Carl keeps reporting, now adding relative motion. Port destroyer is turning north. Starboard, the old one is slow, circling wide. Convoy noise axis shifting northwest. Logan's pencil changes from dots to short strokes, sketching motion vectors. A blurred formation takes shape. Transports ahead and slightly northwest. Escorts spread along the flanks and rear. The destroyers that attacked are widening their search outside the screen, expanding coverage and creating gaps they do not intend. Logan studies the empty spaces between his marks. A bold idea rises and settles into place. They think we're blind, he murmurs. Their screen is opening. There's a gap behind the transport's noise shadow. He straightens. Absolute silence. We use the transports as acoustic cover. Come to course 030. Minimum turns just enough to hold depth. We slide into their blind spot. The Redfish begins a run no one likes to name. The motor turns at the faintest power, its signature swallowed by the deep rumble of the transports ahead. The boat moves like a thought, slow and deliberate, trading time for invisibility. Carl becomes the boat's only eyes. Hold course, he guides. That wall of noise ahead is cover. Ease left 2 degrees. A destroyer is crossing. Take the shadow on the transport's starboard side. Inside, the heat becomes brutal. Men strip to the waist. Sweat pools on the deck and slicks the soles of boots. No one speaks. Even a cough is fought down. Each time, a ping comes closer and needles across the hull. Every muscle locks, hearts climbing into throats. Then Carl follows with the verdict that matters. It's turning. It isn't stopping. Safe. Time loses meaning. The compartments feel smaller. The air feels heavier, and the silence becomes its own kind of pressure. Then Carl's breath catches. Starboard. High-speed screws close. Bearing changing fast. It's coming right at us. Logan answers instantly. All stop. Motor, all stop. Brace and do not make a sound. Power dies. The Redfish becomes inert metal, sliding on inertia. The silence is so complete it feels physical. Through it comes the destroyer's prop wash, rising in pitch and volume until it seems to scrape the hull. Then the ping, almost straight overhead, so close the steel seems to tremble. Plop. Plop. 2 charges splash in. 5 seconds. 10. 15. They detonate off the quarter to one side and aft. The shock reaches them, weaker than the earlier blows, but enough to rock the boat and send a shiver through the bulkheads. The prop noise changes. The destroyer slows, then turns away. Carl exhales. It's leaving. It dropped charges, got nothing, and turned to search another sector. No one celebrates. The question lingers. Were they found, or only doubted? Logan listens as Carl confirms the destroyer is opening away. During the dead stop, the Redfish has drifted into a better hiding place. The overlapping noise fields of 2 big transports, a double acoustic shadow. Continue, Logan says. Minimum speed. Carl, focus on the target sector. They creep forward again, yard by yard, in hot air and red light. In Carl's headset, the transports grow enormous and distinct, close enough to hear individual prop blade slaps. Most escort activity remains outside, forming a loose ring with gaps. The nearer the Redfish gets, the more the convoy's own noise becomes armor. At last, Carl listens for a long, steady minute, then raises his head. His whisper is hoarse, almost only breath. Captain, we're there! Logan leans to the tube. 2 large transports, Carl says carefully. 1 to port, bearing 345, range 700 to 800 yards. 1 to starboard, bearing 015, similar range. Nearest destroyer is farther out to port, bearing 300, range at least 1,200 yards. Other active contacts farther still. We're inside their formation. In the control room, eyes turn to the torpedo panel. Green ready lights glow under red emergency illumination. Logan steps to the firing position. His officers look exhausted, faces streaked with sweat, but their eyes are steady. No one wastes words. Torpedo room report. Torpedo room ready, tubes 1 through 6 loaded with Mk14. Depth settings checked. Set attack data, Logan orders. Port target, tubes 1, 3, 5. Starboard target, tubes 2, 4, 6. Depth 15 feet. Spread pattern, range 800 yards. Speed estimate 10 knots. Hands move on dials and selectors. The torpedo data computer is fed numbers that are part measurement and part judgment. Flood valves open. Seawater surges into the tubes with a low rumble that sounds enormous in a silent boat. Tubes flooded. Outer doors open. Logan watches the bearings, positions held in Carl's ears. He raises his hand, pauses for a single deadly beat, then drops it. Fire! The torpedo officer drives the controls. 6 dull thumps, 6 bursts of compressed air. The Redfish slides slightly with recoil. 6 Mk14 streaks away under the transport's own noise, thin bubble trails vanishing into the dark. Now the weight returns, worse than before. Carl presses the headset tighter. Seconds stretch, then his body jolts as the first detonation hits his ears, a deep boom that seems to shake the sea itself. A second follows almost at once from the other bearing. Hit, Carl says, voice breaking. Port target! Huge explosion low in the hull. Starboard target hit too. Metal tearing. Clear. More sounds cascade. Smaller blasts, fuel igniting, and then the terrible groan of steel twisting and failing as water takes the ships. They're breaking up, both sinking fast. Outside, the escorts erupt into chaos. Propellers scream to full speed. Alarms and radio traffic smear into frantic noise through the hydrophone. Depth charges begin to splash in blind patterns, scattered far from the submarine. Logan is already moving. Hard right rudder, take her down, maximum quiet speed, get us out. The motor comes up to the highest, carefully controlled quiet turns. The Redfish carves away from the convoy and dives into darker water, leaving confusion and retaliation behind. Only when threatening contacts fade does Logan allow ventilation and circulation to rise. Air begins to move again. Men sag against bulkheads and consoles, drained, faces lit by the complicated relief of survival and victory. Logan makes his way to the sonar room. Carl Miller is still in his chair, pale and hollow-eyed, the headset half slipped around his neck. Logan hands him a cup of strong coffee gone cold. His voice carries a rare warmth. Today, Carl, those ears of yours are priceless.